What is the Catholic social teaching of rights and responsibilities? The Catholic social teaching of rights and responsibilities is the idea that every human person holds individual rights that should both be respected and protected. The most significant of these rights would be the right to life, while also holding responsibilities towards each other as we strive for the common good, which includes the betterment of both each other's as in society and our own selves through different practices. The Catholic social teachings were created on May 15th, 1891 by Pope Leo XIII in the written document Rerum Novarum, Rights and Duties of Capital and Labor. This document was written due to the drastic changes the Industrial Revolution had created for both society and the class system, along with the immorality of the time, due to just the general morality of the world, and the low living conditions and wages that were being put onto the workers and laborers. Pope Leo also created this document as just a way to show an in-between between the ideas of absolute capitalism, communism, and absolute communism that were being pushed at the time due to the low living conditions of society and the class system at that point. An example of this being that he defended the right to private property, but that we must share without hesitations when others are in need. And of course, the bottom right image is a picture of Pope Leo XIII.
What are some ways rights and responsibilities can be carried out on a day-to-day basis? First, respecting others is a big responsibility that people carry in their day-to-day lives. Building connections and relationships come from respecting the other party. This means to show active listening, use polite language, understanding opinions, and respecting boundaries. As you can see in the first picture, it's a group of people in a meeting where you can see one is shaking the other person's hand, showing eye contact, positive energy, actively listening, understanding opinions, etc. Second, advocating yourself and others is very important also. Examples can be speaking up if one is facing injustice, expressing your thoughts or needs, and to seek help from authorities to de-escalate the situation. So for example, you're walking outside and you see a fight start to happen, you call the authorities to de-escalate the situation. If you're in school and you see somebody picking on somebody, you properly ask the authorities to de-escalate the situation. And to speak up, to speak up, to spread positivity, love, compassion, etc. Third, practicing good citizenship is also very important to a day-to-day basis. Some examples are obeying the laws, paying taxes, and participating in your community, right? Obeying laws, not running a red light, no jaywalking, no smoking, no violence, none of that. Paying taxes, pretty self-explanatory, participating in your community. Fourth bullet point, to continue from the third bullet point, to strengthen relationships and positivity, one could participate in community events. Some examples are participating in cleanups, supporting local businesses, volunteering at local organizations. So as you can see in the second picture, it is a group of people where they came together for an event of dancing, spreading love and positivity, to build relationships. And yeah, like participating in cleanups, cleaning up trash at the beach, supporting local businesses, volunteering at local organizations for, toy drive, food drive, etc.
How our use of rights and responsibilities have helped the common good. Rights and responsibilities are essential for creating a fair and supportive society. Rights are protections and freedoms that every person deserves, such as the right to safety, education, equality, and freedom of expression. These rights allow individuals to live with dignity and participate fully in their communities. But for these rights to be meaningful, they must be paired with responsibilities or actions that help ensure that those rights are respected and upheld. Responsibilities are about doing our part to support others and improve the common good. They include respecting the rights of others standing up against injustice, helping those in need, and contributing to the well-being of our communities. When we embrace our responsibilities, we help protect and strengthen the rights of those around us. For example, ensuring equal treatment, which requires us to reject discrimination and makes us support fairness for everyone. Major issue with the rights and responsibilities is finding a good balance, because rights give people the freedom and protection they need, but responsibilities remind us that these freedoms come with an obligation to care for others. Without responsibilities, rights can become meaningless if they're not actively supported and defended. This balance ensures that society functions harmoniously and that no one is left behind. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a collective group that is primarily there to help the common good. They believe that human dignity is at the foundation of all human rights. Rights and responsibilities help create a collaborative effort from people from diverse groups to step in and help those in need. Since human dignity is something that is universal, it is believed that it's an easy way to find common ground among people who are from different cultural backgrounds.
Hello,
Hi, Caden.
please introduce yourself to the camera.
Okay, I'm Audrey Pellinger. I'm a school social worker with Broward Schools for about 25 years. I've been a school social worker.
Cool. Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you about rights and responsibilities, which is a Catholic theme. So let's start off with the aspect of the theme that talks about the rights. So how do you personally work for people's rights within the scope of your job? So for example, maybe do you help provide food for kids, or help in aiding with education for them?
Yes, so my job is primarily to remove any barriers that a child would have toward education. So that might mean if a child doesn't have enough food to eat, or if they don't have enough clothing, uniforms, if they are lacking transportation to get to school or housing. I work to try and help the families get the resources that are out in the community and available to them so that they can get their education.
And could you describe, now this is now the other aspect of the theme, so to touch on that, could you describe the responsibilities that you have, or maybe you think you have, to people that you deal with in your job?
The responsibilities. Well, I feel responsible to my families, to my students, because if I know of resources that are out there, I feel responsible to give them and get them the help that they need. A lot of times families don't know where to go and what to do when things happen, and maybe somebody's lost their job and they can't buy groceries, and they need to know how they can get food that's available to them.
Okay.
So it's kind of like linking people to the services that are out there. That's what I feel responsible for.
Okay. And then this has to do with the responsibilities. So can you explain ways in which you respect the rights? Because that's a responsibility in the Catholic theme of rights and responsibilities, and it's respecting the rights of others. So can you explain ways in which you respect the rights of others in your occupation?
Sure. So parents have a right to educate their child as they see fit. So whether that's a private school or a home school or the public school, I think that's how I can respect their right to self-determine what is best for their child.
And in what ways do you hold other people accountable to their responsibilities?
Attending school and attendance is a big part of my job. And I can have compassion if a family is facing something and they are having trouble getting their child to school for a period of time, and I can try and help them. If it continues and the family doesn't take the resources and get their child to school, at some point it can mean holding them accountable through court intervention or through legal routes.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for speaking with me.
This is Ethan, and my group worked on rights and responsibilities. During my time working on this project, I took away two specific things. One is how God specifically says in the Bible that we need to have a safe space and a space where it's filled with love, positivity, compassion, etc. Right? And that starts off by respecting others and welcoming others, right? Respecting others, holding eye contact, being active listening, greeting yourself, and letting it be a space where you could express your thoughts and needs and to be understanding of their opinions. Second thing I took is me, Kaden, and the group interviewed a social worker and how her job and her occupation is to be a link to the source, right? So if a kid is in need of clothes, food, anything that's like for needs, and she's there to help them, And what I learned from that is I feel like I'm not doing as much as I should to help the community out and to participate in communities, because others are less unfortunate and are in need of food, clothing, etc. And so I will start to do that more often. And so, yeah.
Hello, my name is Nathan May, and me and my group did rights and responsibilities. A few of the things I learned and found interesting as I helped research this project were the how and when, in general, the Catholic social teachings were created, which was the fact that these were created May 15th, 1801, a bit far after the Industrial Revolution, but it's still a response to the after effects and the problems that the Industrial Revolution had created, which was the mistreatment of the laborers and the polarization of the lower class and upper class to the creation of the middle class. And it was also a response in how to find a middle path in between both the communist ideologies and capitalist ideologies.
Hi, my name is Connor, and in this presentation, I learned how important it is for people to understand the difference between rights and responsibilities and how they're important. These are important because without rights, we can't have responsibilities. Rights like food, water, clothing, shelter, or even just freedoms like religious freedom and because of this, it's important that we all help these people or motivate these people by simply donating items that we don't need, or food, water, clothing, shelter, because even though it may not look like it, there's people that suffer from not having rights locally because of economic issues or issues such as not having responsibilities, and we can help give these people responsibilities by inspiring them and donating food, water, clothing, or other things like that to help pick up people's lives and help create a better society and a better community for the people around us.
Hi everyone, this is Kaden. For our project, we did the theme of rights and responsibilities, and I would say that I learned the truthfulness that is within our theme. Like, for example, how people should have a right, according to the Catholic theme, people should have a right to shelter, food, and education, and I think that's really true, that's fair, that people should be given those rights. Another thing is, I learned that the theme is a lot more applicable to life than I thought it was,
and it is also exhibited in people more than I thought it was. Audrey Pellinger, the social worker that I interviewed, helped me to realize that common people with common jobs are carrying out these rights, and they're working to ensure those rights for people and themselves. And common people with jobs like Audrey had are also holding other people responsible, and they're also exhibiting their own responsibilities. So yeah.